Artemis was the twin sister of Apollo, the god Apollo. She was the goddess of the moon, he was the god of the sun. Artemis was a very important goddess to the Greeks. She was the goddess of hunting, she was the goddess of woodlands. In Roman mythology, her name is Diana, which is actually my middle name, hence the Artemis dancing.
And just looking through it, are there any technical issues that we should really work at first before tackling the whole piece?
Well, the first thing, it is mainly in the whole tone scale, which is not something you play on the recorder very often. And it's an interesting sound world, so it needs quite a lot of careful work to get the sound world into your mind and sort of practice it as a sort of grower scale. Etc., etc. So you get that the fingering is not as difficult as it looks, but it's the sound world at the intervals of a whole tone scale, which you don't come across, let's face it, in recorder.
Actually, Sally said something interesting there, and I don't want you to think that anything is difficult, because it isn't really if you can do it. So as you work out at each of these intervals, practice it, think about what you're doing, which fingers you're moving, do them quite a lot. Do a lot of repetitive practice on particular fingerings until you feel, I can do that. I feel comfortable there. And do one set, 2 notes, for example, in the next 2 notes, then put the 3 notes together, gradually build it up. And if you always practice in this careful kind of way, nothing is difficult because you're always able to do it. Once you can do it quite well, you feel, I can do that. I can actually put the next note closer to this one now. So you're playing it faster. And that's the way to practice in a very positive kind of way.
We do have different sections in here. What I was sort of thinking was this very sort of mysterious drifting idea at the beginning. And then you get the sort of horn call, the hunting horn. Very awkward, isn't it? Which has got to come as a real surprise, pinging on the accents and really sharp, quite spiky staccato, spiky.
How do you do accents?
You can do an accent on a recorder if you actually put your tongue into the top of the recorder.
Air?
It's a sharp blast of air, and if you actually put the tongue in there, pop the note, it can give a really quite explosive accent.
And what about these dynamic contrasts you put here of our 24, 25, so piano, forte, piano, all that stuff?
They're almost an echo, and you're playing with a lot of energy and warmer sound. Changing your articulation, very strong slurring, and then to this very, very light as a feather staccato in the pianissimo. Also, in that you have to be careful of your C sharp there. C sharp, but it does slow down, so make the most of that pulling up into the pause.
How do you get your finger? How do you control that low C sharp?
Think very carefully. So almost have a little slight break into that C sharp, so you can get your fingers, move one over and move that, bend that little finger, curve your little finger. So you get your C sharp very gently, and it's asking you to play it quietly, which is good, because if you hit that hard, it will crack.
So not so kind of over.
Very, very late. Very, very light, rather late. Light. Oh dear. Then you have an accelerando at the end. And you go into the screaming notes. I'll record you go up right high to high D sharp, which is lovely note. Naglers will love that.
So a lot of ingredients in Artemis Dances, but a lot of fun to be had.